and view the fire. We really urge you to fight that urge and continue to evacuate. When you pull over to take pictures, it creates secondary traffic hazards and problems for evacuations. So please continue to move through the area. Which also brings me to a reminder that evacuation areas are dangerous. Once an area is evacuated, we do not want you to re-enter that area. We have had some minor reports of people re-entering evacuation areas, and they've had to be rescued. When we have to rescue you from an evacuation area, it creates a secondary burden on police and fire services and adds to the problem. So please stay out of those evacuated areas. We want you to stay informed, so continue to follow all of your law enforcement partners on social media, which includes Nixle, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And we encourage you all to continue to take care of each other, check on your neighbors, and help each other. We're going to get through this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Now we'll have our unit chief, Chief Jones, come and give an update from the unit.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Shauna Jones, and I'm the unit chief for the Sonoma Lake Napa unit. I wanted to touch on a few things. Over the last 5 years or more, many of you have been evacuated, and many of you, your families, someone you know, has lost their home. It is a very stressful time. All of us, your first responders, understand that, and we're here for you. I wanted to take a moment and just say and reiterate the message that Sheriff Essex and all of the folks behind me have said to you. Please be prepared. Please, when asked to do so, please evacuate. It's important that you do your part so that we can help you. It's going to take time. This is a very large fire. It's one of many in the state of California. And honestly, our resources are stretched very far. So please be patient. We're working hard to put out the fire so that we can get you back in your homes. Please be safe. Listen to the alerts. Pay attention to media and be aware of your surroundings. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Chief. And now our incident commander, Chief Cavanaugh.
Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. First, I'd like to start off with my condolences to PG&E. Yesterday afternoon, Wednesday, August 19, 2020, a PG&E employee was located in his vehicle in the Gates Canyon area, unresponsive. CPR was performed on the individual. The employee was transported by ambulance and pronounced deceased at a local hospital. The employee was in the Gates Canyon area clearing infrastructure, power poles, and lines to make the area safe for emergency responders. So once again, I'd please keep the family and PG&E in your thoughts, and our condolences to that individual and his family. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to start with talk about a little bit of a fire update. I know the operations given, but I'm going to get a little more detail on some acres and what we have. As Chief Blankenheim talked about in the operations briefing, the Hennessy fire is now the fires of the Gamble, the Green, Markley, Spanish fire, and the Morgan fire that all combined yesterday. Total for that fire right now is sitting about 105,000 acres as of this morning with 0% containment. Moving in, and that's for Napa County. Also with Napa in Lake County is the Etna fire, which is currently 4,500 acres. Moving down into Sonoma County, the Walbridge fire is currently around 14,500 acres this morning and actively burning overnight. And then the Mares fire was approximately 3,000 acres. The fire up in Lake County, the Round fire from yesterday, is roughly 4,000 acres as of this morning. As Chief Jones just alluded to, and we talked about yesterday, this is a large geographical area that we have. We're in 5 counties. We have large incidents that are burning. One of these incidents alone is what we call a team. That's what my team that I'm here could be, a team incident alone, especially the stuff that's going over in Sonoma County and what now we have up in Lake County. Resources. We have the resources we have now. Hopefully over the next few days, there's going to be some allocation of more resources with stuff coming from out of state. There are fires that, some smaller fires that in some of the other counties that have containment lines on. Hopefully we'll be getting some of those resources, pull off some of those incidents. even though they may not be comfortable totally leaving those smaller incidents that have containment lines, but we're going to try to get some of those resources to us. Same with the aircraft assets that we have. I just want to make it very clear and make no mistake about it. We have a very large-scale incident here. Normally, even for us and the teams, and I know the communities over the past years and the incidents they've had here, we're used to lots of resources, and that's not where we're at today. With the amount of fires and large fires that we have throughout the entire Northern California, we're just one small piece of the bigger picture there is in that bigger view. We have to share the resources. We have to make good operational decisions and priorities. With that, though, the communications, with everybody that's standing up here with us today, it is imperative the communications and cooperations from everybody for us to mitigate these and be successful. As we move forward, looking at our plans starting today and forward, we're basically, for us as a team, into this thing just over 50 hours, looking at our organization, how we're doing it, and allocating the best resources we can for everybody in between all the counties we have. Every single county, every single community, every single person is a top priority for us. And we want to make sure that we are trying to meet those needs to mitigate these. We need to get people back in their homes as quick as possible. It's a tough decision we have to make as an IC on evacuations. I talked about it at our cooperators meeting here at 10 o'clock. I am always going to side on the air life safety. That is, I will not sway from that decision. But on the other hand, we'll get people back into their homes as quick as we can. That repopulation, I don't want to see people dispersed out of their homes. I never want to be dispersed out of my home, and I know you don't either. So I ask, be patient. We have to make sure it is safe to get back in your home, not only from the fire side standpoint, but also from the utilities. We got to make sure we're good with utilities. The last thing we're ever going to want to do is do a evacuation, a repopulation, and then another re-evacuation. With that, I appreciate the cooperation we have. I appreciate the communications we have, and we're going to get through this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. And then we'll have time for just a couple questions if there's any questions. Yes, sir.
I'm wondering specifically about Atlas Peak. I heard the fire did reach the summit yesterday. Wondering if it had made it into any of the residential areas on Atlas Peak Road.
Yeah, as of yet, no. So we're reopening some of the lines that we opened in 17 for when the fire was going the other direction. So it'll be the line coming from the other way. And as of yet, no. I think it got in maybe close to some backyards, but there's been no damage up there, and any places coming into the community, the fire has been stopped.
Similarly, the town of Angling was evacuated, and Deer Park. I know often that's precautionary because there aren't that many ways out. Do you know how close the fire is coming up that point to Angling?
Mileage-wise, I don't have a report. It was purely precautionary, and because of the difficulty in getting folks in and out of there, that's definitely a precautionary. But as Chief Kavanaugh said, our resources are so thin right now. We have plans, but we need to staff those plans, and so it is precautionary at this time, but it is definitely a real threat.
The decision last night, if you don't mind, the decision on that one last night in that community was when we all looked at that, with the fire behavior that we had overnight from 2 nights ago going into last night, the fire behavior that we were experiencing yesterday afternoon, on the map, roughly, it was like 5 miles. The fire was going out to the east, but looking at that community up there and the one way in and one way out, when that order came down yesterday evening during the daylight, that was a priority to me to try to make that happen then. I know that that's a tough area up there with the hospital and the college and the one way in, one way out. But once again, as I stated here just a little bit ago, those decisions have to be made, and I'm always going to make that decision on the life safety of everybody first.
Thank you, Chief. We have one more question over here.
Just in general, the weather quality today, in terms of temperature, slowing down a few degrees also, what about for aerial support in terms of the quality of the smoke in the sky?
Similar to yesterday, one of the I guess the dilemmas we have is the air clears out, the fires burn faster, but we can use the tankers better. It's a little bit smokier today, a little bit later started on getting it out, but that usually means we're having less air movement and not quite as dry conditions. So the weather over the next couple of days, we're hoping is going to come back to more of a normal pattern for this and get back into a coastal influence here, which will help us out quite a bit. It may be an issue for air support as we get, hopefully we get some fog and some clouds coming in over the next couple of days. We're kind of anticipating. That does create some difficulty with the air support, but it gives us a lot more chance for success on the ground.
Thank you, Chief. And then also, too, we'd like to turn this over to Sergeant Valencia as well as Officer Lopez for a Spanish interpretation.
Buenos días, Sargento Juan Valencia, soy el portavoz de la oficina del condado de Sonoma. Aquí estoy representando los otros condados de Napa, Solano, Lake County y Yolo. Estamos trabajando unificados con CAL FIRE en estas evacuaciones y órdenes por los incendios que los están afectando en nuestra comunidad. Les quiero decir que ahorita tenemos muchos oficiales de otras agencias ayudándonos a asegurar las áreas que hemos evacuado o que están debajo de advertencias. Tenemos como 75 agencias ayudándonos en esas áreas. En Sonoma County tenemos el Departamento de Policía de San Francisco y la Oficina de Alguacil de San Francisco ayudándonos en esas áreas en la comunidad. Les quiero recomendar que los sigan en las redes sociales, en Nixle, Facebook y Instagram y Twitter. Lo que les quiero decir también es que si oyen una sirena alta y baja en su área, eso les está diciendo que es tiempo que se tienen que ir, que se tienen que evacuar. El incendio está creciendo muy, muy rápido ahorita en las áreas. Tienen 3 áreas. Tienen una área del norte, una área del sur y una área del oeste. Yo voy a hablar de la área del oeste. El oeste está afectando al condado de Sonoma. Más de 14,000 acres están quemados ahorita en el Walbridge incendio. Esa área es al oeste de Hillsburg y norte de Guerneville. El incendio se está moviendo al sur por la ciudad o está yendo al área de Guerneville, Monterey y Rio Nito. Por eso es importante, si los evacuamos de esa área, se tienen que quedar y no entrar a esa área. La cosa es, anoche unos oficiales, un señor se entró a la área de evacuación y los oficiales lo tenían que rescatar porque el incendio estaba muy cerca de su automóvil o de su carro. Les quiero también decir que estamos trabajando juntos con todas las agencias para darles información y comunicar con ustedes. Si tienen preguntas, a lo mejor que no tienen la respuesta, los pueden mandar un mensaje en Instagram o Facebook. Les quiero decir también que se cuiden. Este es el tercer incendio que hemos tenido en el condado de Sonoma. La cosa es que ya somos expertos en evacuar a personas y queremos que ustedes no se preocupen. Estamos allí para ayudarles y que se cuiden a ustedes, a su familia y a los vecinos. Y aquí tengo a mi compañero Custodio López que va a informarles del incendio que está ocurriendo en Napa, Yolo y Lake County y luego también de tráfico.
Buenos días. Soy su oficial Custodio López con la Patrulla de Caminos de California. Les queremos venir a informar ya como mi compañero les informó de Sonoma County. Ahora acá en este lado de Napa y de Solano. En esa área, la lumbre, el incendio de Genesee ha quemado 105 acres. 0% contenimiento que querían que nuestros compañeros de CAL FIRE que les dejáramos saber ahorita. Y el que está más hacia el norte en Lake County ha quemado 4,000 acres. Mi compañero ya les dejó saber ahorita que por favor todas las carreteras que están cerradas porque ya han evacuado esas áreas. Tuvimos un incidente en el área de Sonoma donde alguien entró para atrás, como ya dijo, y se atascó y se quedó allí y entonces el incendio llegó cerca a él. O sea, ahora entonces estábamos arriesgando las vidas de nuestros oficiales y también los bomberos y nuestros compañeros de CAL FIRE. So, por favor, que respeten todas las órdenes, que si les están dejando saber que tienen que evacuar, que salgan. Si están bajo advertencia, que por favor siempre tengan ya un botiquín, tengan algo listo para poder salir con su familia. Otra cosa que les queremos dejar saber, por favor, si están siendo evacuados, que por favor no se vayan a parar en el lado de la autopista, de la carretera. Están yendo todos nuestros compañeros de CAL FIRE, los bomberos, los diferentes departamentos de policía que estamos trabajando juntos para agarrar una foto, para ponerlo en Facebook, porque ahora está arriesgando las vidas de todos de nosotros, y muchas de las carreteras, como saben, están angostas, no están anchas. Tenemos los camiones grandes que están yendo para allá. Por favor, que respeten todas las órdenes y que nos puedan ayudar para que puedan regresar todas esas personas para atrás a sus hogares. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you. On behalf of the entire team and our cooperators on this incident, we appreciate you being here. And again, our 24-hour information line is 707-967-4207. Thank you.